Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Elementor Pro, LearnDash, and WooCommerce. I'm your host, James Tryon, a LearnDash training specialist. I've been using WordPress since 2007. I'm the lead organizer of WordCamp Orlando 2020 this year, if we have one. And I'm the lead ambassador of Wapoos, which is the mascot of WordPress. If I'm not working, I'm hanging out with my friends, family, or I'm usually making something. You can find me on Twitter at James Tryon, but because of the typos, you'd probably find me on Facebook where I can adjust those afterwards. If you've already joined here, you probably found us through the Facebook group. If not, you should definitely check out our LearnDash Facebook group. It's super helpful. Today, like I said, we're going to be talking about Elementor, LearnDash, and WooCommerce. This is a little bit of a review webinar because we already have talked about WooCommerce in the past. Same thing with the basic widgets of Elementor, and we're always talking about LearnDash. So today, it's going to be probably about 50 to 60% recap, and the rest is all going to be new. We're going to start with a basic overview of the benefits of Elementor Pro and WooCommerce. When I say Elementor Pro, it could just be Elementor or really any good quality page builder. We're going to go over installing and setting up the basics WooCommerce integrations, the Elementor integrations. We're going to be reviewing the template functions and integrations that we're going to be using to continue to leverage the template we worked on during the last webinar. We're going to be reviewing some of the LearnDash widgets, reviewing some of the Elementor widgets for WooCommerce, and some useful techniques and tips for how I would continue to develop what I'm working on. The benefits of WooCommerce is it has a fantastic community behind it. There's a lot of premium plugins that you can extend what's already there with WooCommerce. You have more control over the checkout experience than with the default LearnDash setup. You can offer coupon codes or extend some of the other functionality that comes with WooCommerce and LearnDash, like bundling and course selection. The nice thing is LearnDash now offers our own groups function, so you can use LearnDash by itself to extend groups, or you can tie that directly into WooCommerce, where you can make a group or a bundle of courses and then sell them through WooCommerce and then give your users access like a membership directly through WooCommerce and LearnDash. So that's another fantastic benefit. The same thing with Elementor. They have a great community behind them. There's also a lot of premium plugins. We're not going to be talking about any of the premium plugins because I want to make sure everything we're doing is handled directly through WooCommerce, LearnDash, WordPress, and Elementor. Now, the LearnDash and Elementor widgets are part of the Pro bundle, so you will need Elementor Pro, but that's because Elementor Pro, you need Elementor Pro in order to use their theme builder. So that's really the main reason you need the Elementor Pro. So we are talking about the Pro version. But if a lot of their premium plugins are really inexpensive, you can find some cool ones for 20, 30 bucks that extend the basic features. It is starting to rain a little here, everyone. I apologize. And if this does mess up and the audio doesn't quite make it, I will be happy to re-record this when it's not storming outside. So if there is a problem with any of this, I will make sure it's fully taken care of and added up to the finished video. So as far as requirements go, you need LearnDash, Elementor Pro, LearnDash Elementor integration add-on, the LearnDash WooCommerce integration add-on, and WooCommerce. The nice to haves, if you want to follow along with what we're doing and you want to make it look just like what I have, you're going to want to use Astra, the Starter Templates plugin, the LearnDash Academy import, WooCommerce installed, and your payment gateway setup. Now, I say WooCommerce installed. We're going to go over some of those settings today, but most of what we're doing is assuming that you already have WooCommerce setup. If you do not have WooCommerce setup, and I believe that's the next, well, we'll talk about that in a second. We do have other webinars, and I'll link to that in a moment. So let's talk about the setup of actually how everything works. And this is kind of the stack that we're talking about. There's a lot that goes into this. So everything we're doing today can be done without any development, but it is a lot to understand and take in because there is several moving pieces. I believe there's 4 of them. You have your base WordPress install. Then you have your WooCommerce is what you're using to actually sell your courses or your products. So like, again, one of the benefits of WooCommerce is you can sell other things besides just your bundles or courses or memberships. You could sell textbooks or downloadable ebooks or actual tickets to events when we can all start gathering again. So you can, you can use WooCommerce to do a lot more than just sell access to your courses. And then we're going to use LearnDash for the courses and the membership layer, also any of our quizzes and certifications, and in the future, gamification. So you can actually do that a little bit now, but in the future, you're going to be able to do a lot more of that. And for the design layer, we are using Astra as part of the theme, but realistically, Elementor Pro is doing a full page design and elements. Everything on the page is going to be created with Elementor and their widgets. So we're using Elementor itself, Elementor Pro, for the design, and Elementor for the content area. So if this is your first time as one of our webinars and you have not set up LearnDash and WooCommerce, or you missed the last webinar on LearnDash and Elementor Pro, I would definitely recommend checking out these other 2 webinars. The videos are on YouTube, and the slides that correspond to the webinars are below. The links are out also on the YouTube channel and anywhere in the Facebook group where the webinars were posted. The slides were also posted. So I definitely recommend checking those out. There's going to be full demos walking through everything. So as long as you have an active install and an active license with LearnDash, you can install all the add-ons directly from your admin. You would log in and you would go to add-ons, and you would see the current add-ons here. What you would want to do is make sure you click check updates first, and that's going to ping and make sure that you have the current version, or your system knows, checks to see if there's any new updates. You can see the Elementor for LearnDash and WooCommerce for LearnDash. If for some reason you cannot add plugins directly to your site admin, and for a couple reasons, let's say you're on hosting that doesn't allow FTP access and you have to use a staging, testing, development branch, for one thing. And side note, I always recommend to test everything you're doing in a development branch. Never do any of these things live for the first time. So I would not recommend going to your site and turning these things on in production. Make sure you test in a proper environment first, make sure everything works, and then do it all again in production. But let's say you can't download this, but you do have an active subscription. You can also go directly over to our support site, log in. As long as you have an active subscription, you can then download the plugins through there, add them to your Git repo, upload them through the admin like you would any other plugin, and you'd be good to go. Same thing with WooCommerce. You would go to plugins, add new WooCommerce, and for Elementor, you can do the same thing for plugins, add new Elementor. The Elementor Pro is an upsell. There's a link in the plugin when you install it to take you to their site and add it. If you are already a user of Elementor Pro, you probably have their Pro add-on. You just install that plugin, log into Elementor, it syncs, enables your license, and you're good to go. It's just like any other plugin, but most setups you can do all of these add-ons without actually doing anything besides clicking a couple buttons. Okay, so that what we're going to be doing now is we've already talked about installing the plugins. Now we're going to go over the actual settings. Okay, so I'm assuming you already have the basic WooCommerce setup. So this means you already have your pages set up. You already have all your generic cart, my account, checkout, and shop pages created, and you have the shortcodes that go along with them. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, please watch the other webinar on setting up WooCommerce. We go over all of that, and you can add the shortcodes directly in. I have links later on in the document for WooCommerce shortcodes, so you can find them there. But all you really need to do is make sure you have a cart page, a my account page, a checkout page, and a shop page. And they all get corresponding shortcodes, and then you would set those pages in WooCommerce. I'll go over those settings a little later, but again, I encourage you to check out the other webinar. The important things here is if you're selling courses, you want to make sure that you're not allowing guest checkout, because in WooCommerce, you're creating a user registration, and that registered user is going to be the one that's registering for the class. So if you allow guest checkout, there's no registered user, and you're not going to be able to actually register somebody. So that's a big important step. You need to make sure that you're not allowing guest checkout. And I also I allow users to create an account at checkout and allow them to create an account on my accounts page too. So those are the two checkboxes at the bottom. And we'll keep going. So I'm also assuming you already have a product, and we'll go over generic products, adding a product in these settings when we do the demo. Just a quick view so everyone can see these settings and where they actually live. But when you set up a product, you want to make sure that it's a course or a virtual product. And when you do that, it's going to automatically set your order to complete when you check out. If not, you're going to have to manually review that order, because WooCommerce thinks you're shipping something or you're processing or you're gathering things. So it doesn't automatically set that order to process and enroll. So you want to make sure it's either set to course or set to a virtual. Now, you don't have to set it to course or virtual, but if you do set it to course or virtual, they're automatically enrolled. The payment's automatically set to complete. And if you didn't, it's going to be pending for any other normal product. Or let's think if you're actually shipping something, it's probably going to be marked as pending. Oh, one last thing I want to say about this is you can hold Shift and select multiple courses, and this works the same way for our groups. So if you make a new group in LearnDash, it's also going to show up here. So you can also assign groups just like you would courses. So you can then sell your group directly through WooCommerce and give your users or students a membership, an actual real subscription membership, without the need of using a third-party membership plugin anymore. Now, we always had that basic feature of logged in, but it's definitely extended with the recent 3.2 add-ons features. So again, the full setup is definitely in the other WooCommerce webinar. The thing that I want to show here is I added a little order note. Something that everyone should probably do is add an order note, because by default WooCommerce sends the email and it gives you a thank you page, but it doesn't really go to my accounts or redirect or anything like that after the checkout. So I like to add a little thank you note with a link to the courses that says start your course here. So that gets added to the email, that gets added to the order notes, so they can see that in several places. Also, I like to set a redirect. Now, the other webinar goes over at least 6 ways to add redirects after the step. So I'm not going to go over that in this webinar. The learning how to integrate LearnDash with WooCommerce, we go over at least 6 different ways to add a redirect. So I definitely recommend checking that out. Okay, now we're going to move over to LearnDash itself. So far, we've installed our basic plugins. We've made sure that we've had a product. We've assigned that product to our LearnDash course. And now we're going to go back to our LearnDash course and take it from buy now or reoccurring to closed. And what closed means is it's still for sale, but it's going to be sold another way. The course price is just whatever price you're selling it for, but that's just a display number. That's not an actual value that's going to be passed through. That price is set in WooCommerce or wherever you're integrating this in. Since we're integrating with WooCommerce, it's set there. The button URL, I like to make sure the button adds to the cart directly. Now, if you want to get more advanced, you can make that go directly to checkout instead of to cart with the button click. But in this example, we're adding it to the cart. Now, you want to make sure it's your site is your domain, or you can leave that off and just do /cart/ add-to-cart equals, and then the 123, to be clear, is the ID of the course. It's not 123, but 123 is the example. The other thing I'll say is if for some reason you change the name of your cart to maybe basket or some other term, and you have that shortcode for the cart on that page, the term cart needs to match your cart URL regardless of what you called it. So your domain / whatever you're calling your cart / add to cart with the ID of the product. And anywhere that button is through LearnDash will now add that product to your visitor's cart. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is Elementor templates. So we've gone over the basic setup and changing what we need to set up from our basic LearnDash setup. So for the beginning of this webinar, it would be like you were just using LearnDash by itself. Then we're adding we're adding WooCommerce, and now we're going to start going over the elements you need from Elementor to extend the other two from design. I know this is a lot that we're going over, but I'll show you how all this works together through the demo as a little walkthrough and explain what we're doing. So today, we're going to talk about the course template a little more, and then WooCommerce products. The Elementor templates, again, are used through the theme builder and Elementor Pro. The courses, lessons, topics, and quizzes are enabled and show up when you add the Elementor Pro LearnDash integration. The products one is by default as long as you have WooCommerce turned on. And then ones with check marks are the ones that we're going to be talking about today. And this is what the pre-Elementor 3.0 looks like. The new Elementor template builder actually is a full site takeover, a little different. It feels and looks more like the actual Elementor editor. So you'll see that at first it might actually say 2 theme builders in your menu when you first upgrade, allowing you to switch over and play with both of them. And I'm assuming later on they'll be removing or deprecating the current version. Maybe not deprecating, but hiding it so it's not 2 menu items. I don't want to speak for them, but that's just what I noticed testing. As you can see at the top, these are the different things that you can override with Elementor. You have different headers, footers, archive views, and you can see that the single product archives, pretty much all the ones across the top are all new. They're these, and they happened when we enabled those other 2 plugins. These showed up. Okay, so here's a link to LearnDash capability widgets, and so a quick overview if you want to actually read instead of listening to what I have to say. And here's a document for WooCommerce widgets as well. So these are the widgets, and here's some more documentation on shortcodes. The ones in orange are ours, the ones in blue are Elementor and WooCommerce, but the ones in blue both have to do with WooCommerce. And one thing I want to say, I know this seems like a lot, and looking at this seems a little daunting. The documentation is here. It's very well documented as far as Elementor stuff on Elementor side, and as far as the shortcodes go. You don't have to be a dev to do this. All these links are here in my documentation. Watch these again, look at the links, but you really don't need to be a developer to do what we're going to be doing today. So these are screenshots of all the possible shortcodes that you could be using with LearnDash and our widgets as well. And what we're going to be messing with today is the course template widgets, which we kind of talked about in our last webinar. And I also want to go over these today with some shortcode options as well. So we won't spend too much time here, but I at least wanted to bring those up. This is what they look like. So okay, the course content, the course info bar, and course certificate. So the top, this is the course contents at the bottom. The green is the course certificate. This example is not showing the course info bar currently. Here's some other widgets you can use in case you want to get fancy and design the rest of your site. We'll go over these in future webinars and actually how to use them. But you can design login pages, your profile pages, your course grids. You can design all your other topics, quiz pages. You can do all of that with Elementor and LearnDash, but this is just for your reference. We're not going to be messing with these this week. So the Elementor WooCommerce widgets. What I wanted to do is actually show everyone some of these. I was going to write them all out, but there's a lot. So the first column is the WooCommerce widgets that are in the section. The other two columns are actually a continuation of each other when I searched for WooCommerce of everything in Elementor that you can use. Now, some of these might not be Elementor, some of these might not be WooCommerce related or from. They might have been from some of the other plugins that have been added when we did the starter template, but everything that you see here is included or added for free outside of the Elementor Pro and LearnDash. So anything you see here should automatically, you should have access to. I'm going to leave this in from last time. I want to go over a little bit of a conditional logic because with multiple templates, you might need to assign multiple versions. You might want different templates for your courses for different authors or different subjects or different categories. Same thing with your products. You might want to change those up, your templates. So as you can see, they're selecting the main thing that they're wanting to filter it by, and then they're adding the second thing. So this example is two. They're setting two conditions, but you can set just one if you would like. And this is dynamic content. We talked about this in the last webinar. I definitely recommend everyone checking this out, going back, learning about custom fields and dynamic content. But this will extend the flexibility of your themes and giving you the ability to do some really cool stuff without the need of developing. As you know, all you have to do is add a new input and add its value. Then you go to Elementor, you add the thing that you want, you click on the little drum barrel, it looks like to me, you pick what the thing is that you set, and then it'll automatically show up that content. So let's say you want to set up a URL or some welcome text or some other thing that isn't dynamic already. You can do that, use the template, set the styling of the paragraph that you want, and then automatically load that in, which gives you the ability to make your templates more dynamic and without actually having to do much work, which makes it pretty neat. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go over some live demo stuff. I want to go over some basic setup things just to show everyone where things are. And then we're going to actually import the template from last webinar and pick up from there and use that to style out the new WooCommerce product page. So I'm going to move this window aside. And so everyone can see, I'm going to try to zoom this in a little bit. I'm on a 27-inch monitor. So I have two screens side by side. The one on the left is the course content. In fact, let me show one other view here. This is the template that we worked on during the last webinar. And as you can see, I did fix the sidebar. Side note, there is just one line of CSS that's just column sticky or whatever that is. I posted that link on how to adjust that on the Facebook group. If anyone wants to see or message me later, I'm happy to share that. But instead of using the sticky feature inside Elementor, I actually turned that off, but on the same exact element, used the same selector element and then added one line of CSS that allowed it to stay fixed inside the container. It's a little bit technical, but the code examples in the Facebook group, it's one line. It's actually pretty straightforward, and I was surprised on how easy that turned out. So this is where we're starting. We're going to take this template and we're going to apply it to this product. It's currently applied to this course, but there is no custom field set. So you can see that the video isn't showing, some of the other content isn't showing. That's just because the custom fields aren't there. Also, the template itself, when you install it, it doesn't always bring in all the styles. It brings in the Elementor styles, but if you're not using Astra, it might look different. Also, if you did not set your settings correctly, meaning like hide your header, hide your title, set full width Elementor templates, things like that, it's also going to look a little weird. So I'm going to go over some of those, show everyone what I mean. And we got about 20 minutes. So we're going to spend the next 5 minutes going over basic setup, and then we're going to spend 15 minutes doing that process. We're going to get as far as we can. Might not look perfect, but you'll get the general idea of what we're doing. And just so everyone knows, this is the single product. I have WooCommerce Setup. I have the generic product in, and it is linked to LearnDash. I will go over that, so we're not going to actually do it. It's already set up, but I will show everyone where that is. Okay, to start, let's go over here to add-ons. So LearnDash add-ons. I have my Elementor for LearnDash active. I have my WooCommerce for LearnDash active. And that's all I had to do here in the LearnDash setup for now. I'm assuming I already had WooCommerce set up, so I did not, you would go in and set up your shortcodes in your pages and your shipping address and all that for your store address to make sure all that functions. I'm also assuming you have your gateway set up. If you don't have a gateway set up, you can put it in testing mode and you can create a coupon code so you can still do all the testing and get a full checkout and just use a coupon to trigger the zero amount. And that's covered in the actual WooCommerce integration video, so I recommend checking that out. So we're going to go over here to Elementor, and I'm going to show everyone the only real settings we have to do here. We're going to go to Settings and Integration. You want to make sure that your LearnDash settings are checked, courses, lessons, topic and quizzes, and groups checked. And also for products for WooCommerce. And that's all the actual settings you have to do for Elementor. Everything else is configuring on the actual course level. So next we're going to go look at the courses. I know my content marketing course is the one that I want to convert over. So I want to click on content marketing. And it has all my basic content in it already, just Laura Ipsum and generic filler text. Before we actually go over the design of it, I want to go over and look at the settings. Before, it used to be set to buy now, and you would purchase it through LearnDash. And that's what this course is. It's a buy now through LearnDash. So I set it to close. And what close means, like I said earlier, is you will not be able to buy it through LearnDash, but you can still buy it, and it's going to redirect you to the product. I know that the product I made, this product, I know that it's ID 24591. So let me show you how I found that. We're going to go over to products, all products. I'm going to hover over content marketing and the ID that is right here. So once you have the product ID, you would add to the button. So that way, if anyone clicks that, it's going to add it to the cart, and then they can check out through WooCommerce like normal. So we know that now WooCommerce is set up properly through LearnDash, and we know that everything should be good to go, except for the LearnDash stuff. So I think now, the Elementor template stuff. So now let's start working on the Elementor template stuff a little and talk about some settings here. As you can see in the sidebar, I have it set as paid. I have the default template set up. I also have the customizer settings enabled, and I did not disable anything here. You can also see that it's still just the default product info, the course info. Actually, that doesn't really matter because we're not changing the stuff here. All these settings here are this. We're looking at the same two things, so they're fine. So next, we actually don't have to mess with this page anymore. We're going to go over to the WooCommerce product page. Okay. So now we're going to be editing this page, trying to make it look more like our template from Elementor. So a couple things that I want to say while I'm doing this is, we'll get a little closer to what we're doing, but the current widgets, the new widgets for LearnDash did not quite work the way that I thought they would. So you can use them throughout your site, but they're also meant to be limited on certain views, on certain pages, so they work appropriately. So you don't necessarily need to add extra attributes to them to make them trigger on certain pages. Because of that, the widgets only show up on certain elements, but you can still use those elements through the shortcode version. That being said, I could not get the Elementor widgets for courses to show up on the product view because we were going to be embedding the product. So there's a little bit of a setback there. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that I realized that, oh, this didn't quite work. So I'm still going to be able to accomplish what I want. I'm just not going to be able to use the Elementor LearnDash widgets in all the same places. I will be able to use some of them, and I will be able to use other widgets in WooCommerce widgets and still leverage the theme builder to accomplish what we want and still get the same goal and more. I'm just not able to use the widgets at this time. I don't want to overspeak. That's probably something that can be addressed in the future. So what we're going to do now is we're looking at the product, and again, I want to look that we're looking at full width container. There's nothing really disabled here. Everything is by default. Now, just so everyone knows, I did go ahead and add any shortcode custom fields that that I need to make this design work. So shortcode, custom field for videos, duration, video length, all those are here. We go over that in the other webinar. On the product view, if you do not see them, screen options, custom fields at the very top. I turned it off so you can see what it looks like without them. Custom fields, close that, and then they'll show up. Okay, now let's get to the fun part. So we're going to go to templates, template builder. I want to import template. Actually, I want to import template, but I want to go over to single products. just to see that there's nothing here. So I can start directly from here and make something from scratch. Actually, I want to show you this too. In case you didn't want to copy what I'm doing, I'm not going to save this. Single product. I can create template. It's going to pop up, and you can actually pick from some pre-existing templates here, which is pretty cool. So, but I want to go ahead and cancel out of this. I'm going to back up. I want to import template. I want to choose from file, and this is the template that I that from last week. It's what I'm uploading. And the cool thing is I'm uploading this template that was designed for the single courses page. So remember, this was made for the single courses page. It's going to give us a little error, I believe. Okay, so that just imported it, which is fine. But now let's go over here to single product. Let's delete this one, because that was just for testing. But now I know my other template's installed. Check this out. I want to go and I want to say LearnDash, WooCommerce, single product, create template. I want to go to my templates. This is the one that I just uploaded. I want to click insert. It's going to say, it's going to let me know that it's going to try to import and override any of my settings. I want to click yes. Okay. And as you can see, I clicked import and it added most of what we wanted in place. Now this isn't fully functional yet, so let's hit up publish and walk through some of those steps that we talked about earlier. I'm going to click publish, and now I'm going to add my condition. I'm going to say I want to include this on all products. I could say all products in category, or for another example, like in tag or author, but I'm just going to say for now, all products. Hit save. And let's go take a look. So this is what it was before we added the template. And again, the template is available in the Facebook group right now. Anyone can go and download it. It is released via myself. It's not supported via LearnDash right now. It's not saying they necessarily won't, but that's a free bit of code I gave out for learning and education purposes only. So I encourage everyone to use and test it. You're responsible for it once it leaves your test environment until we fully know what's going on. It's just JSON file from this export, but it is free to use and everyone is welcome to use it. Now you can see there is some still cleanup that needs to happen. This was designed for the LearnDash course page, not LearnDash product page, but it does work here. So now that it's here, let's spend a little time modifying and cleaning this up. The first thing I want to do is see this yellow. When I hover over this and you can see the yellow line, actually let me zoom in a little bit, because I think we know what we're doing now. This might help. The yellow line means that I cannot edit that. What it really is the content from the product. And something I should probably do to make sure that we're properly testing is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hover over update, this drop-down arrow. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, the eyeball, click settings, and then I can actually choose a product to mimic the course on. So I started typing it. It does a smart search of the product. I want to hit apply, and that way I know that it's pulling in, and now it's going to apply only the elements of that product page. So before it probably was pulling in the content of the course, but now it's pulling in the content. So let's hit update. It should still work though. Yep. Cool. Okay. And a couple things I want to make sure. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't blue or yellow anymore. But let's go ahead and close out of this. Sometimes, just to be clear, Elementor can be a little tricky. So nothing is necessarily wrong right now, but just to make sure I'm editing the right thing, because sometimes editing between content or the template, it'll change itself if you clicked on the wrong thing too many times. I'm just going to close this tab. I know there's no unchanged saves because this is not green. I'm just going to close this. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to click Edit Product. And then I'm going to click Edit with Elementor. Okay, so now I know I'm back, and you can see this yellow line's back. That's just to make sure. I knew there was something funny because the yellow was missing. So if that's ever happening to you, just do a quick refresh just to make sure you don't destroy what you've been working on. So yellow is the template area, and if I clicked it, it would let me edit that, and then the blue is the product area. So one thing you'll notice that that the LearnDash course completion and the course content is not here. It's not part of this template. It was part of the template when we imported it, but since it's being used on a product page, those got stripped out. As you can see, they're not here. And like I said earlier, there is some LearnDash widgets, but they're not all showing up. So how do we get those elements back onto the page? Well, I'll show you. You would use shortcodes. Based on the document from earlier, during the slides, there's a link to all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type shortcode, get the shortcode block, or widget, and I'm going to add it to the page. Course content with a space with a course underscore ID with the same course ID that you attach to this product, you'll be good to go. So I'm going to hit apply. So what I mean by that is this product, this course ID number matches what we just added. So we know that that course ID, just like we went and found the product ID, is this. So it's 24042. That's going to be unique to you and your situation. So what I just added was the course content itself. I'll show you. Actually, let's go ahead and update this so you can see what that looks like before I add multiple pieces. There's a chance that ID is wrong, so let me check that. I thought I hit apply. That's okay, I'll add the other two and we'll debug it as we go. That's the beauty of a live demo. But I know it works because I deleted it and I'm just re-adding things earlier. So I did all of this last night and it did work. So we'll keep going. what I'm doing now is I added the course certificate, and next what I'm going to be adding is the course progress bar. Course certificate one will only show up, and we went over all of these in the last webinar too. The course certificate one will only show up if your course has a certificate added to it. There we go, at least one shown. We'll hit update. I'm not exactly sure why the other one isn't showing right now, but it was showing earlier, so it's not a big deal. But we'll keep going. What we need in order to make this work is there's no buy now button. So let's go look at the WooCommerce stuff. Oh, also, in order to get the buy now working, we need to make sure that we're actually editing the overall wrapping filters. So there's I was trying to make that clear earlier. The actual editing of the course content, this area right here in blue right now, is the actual description from the product in WooCommerce. The outside column, the top column, is actually set in Elementor, and it's part of the template that's used on every product right now based off those conditions that we set earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to Elementor theme builder, and I could have just clicked it, but I don't want to do that right now and during the webinar. I want to make sure that we're going about it the right way and I don't mess something up worse. So I want to go over to single product. I want to click edit with Elementor. And I know that this is in there twice now, so we don't need this one. What I mean is, oh, it might not be there twice. It was there twice earlier. I was going to remove that. But what we want to do now is we want to make sure that we add the WooCommerce button. So I know that we can just say add to cart here. It should be good to go. Maybe, is that the add to cart button? Yeah. We should be able to add this cart to cart and check out. Now, granted, I would probably have a floating cart and make sure this is designed a little better and not like this current setup. But it does work. It is a quick, for demonstration purposes, you've seen that today we were able to upload and assign a template. We were able to tell a course to actually use WooCommerce instead of checking out. We were able to apply a template to a WooCommerce product. We were also able to add some short codes to take our course, our actual course template, and make it also work with LearnDash. Now, there could be a whole lot of other things that we need to be doing, and I would like to do more of that. In fact, we got a little bit of time, and one other fun example I'll show real fast. Make sure I'm on the right page. Is we can actually add reviews. Where's the review? Product review. Here we are. We can add this to the top. We want to make sure that the styling color, star color, let's change the color real fast. Just make it white like everything else. Hit update. Now, when I make changes here, it's going to be made on all templates on all products. So any product that has a review now would now have the review stars showing up. No matter what the product was, the add to cart's going to work. This course content is being pulled in from the actual product, so this will all be dynamic now, and you can see that the lesson course is here. Now, I'm not 100% why that didn't work. It's probably due to user error. It worked just fine earlier. I think it's just the live demo getting in the way. But that puts us at close to an hour. So I'm more than happy to answer a couple questions. And while we answer questions, I want to play with this a little bit to see what I can do to get that short code to render back out.
Yeah, James, thanks so much for demoing this. I know it's a lot to digest for folks that are just getting started with Elementor and seeing how the templates in Elementor can apply to LearnDash and WooCommerce and other applications. But as you can see, on a general standpoint or overall, it's super powerful and gives you a ton of flexibility with how you want to present courses and content and course flows and purchase process flows, etc. So this is, I'm always impressed looking at it. I think it's super cool what we can do today without having to code anything. You know, I don't know how to code, but I could do this. So it's really, really cool to see that. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A. Hopefully there are questions more or less about what James went over. There's a couple things here. Subscriptions. Do we need WooCommerce subscriptions plugin for LearnDash recurring to work? If you're using WooCommerce, yeah, you need to use their subscriptions, add-on integration, whatever it is, to have recurring payments through their shopping cart, which is, it's pretty slick. There's a lot that goes into that and making sure it works. So it's an investment well worth making, I think, especially if you're planning on having recurring subscriptions as part of your offering.
So
again, go ahead, James.
Oh, sorry. So what it was is my quotes from copying and pasting from my text document back into Elementor messed up. So all I had to do was go in and remove the quotes and retype them, and then it rendered out.
Ah, good catch.
So
okay.
Just so anybody knows, it's actually just copying and pasting that messed it up. Let me refresh the page real fast so everyone can see what this looks like. So you can see now this, just so everyone knows and how cool this is an Elementor template on a WooCommerce product page serving up LearnDash content dynamically, you know, that you can now start and sell your entire course this way. Now, granted, all in, this is over the course of 2 webinars, but all in, I'm only about 5 hours. And that's also, you know, all of it, setting it up one way with LearnDash and then redoing it, configuring to work with WooCommerce again. So that's a 2-phase process, only at 5 hours to do all of this without focusing and trying to make it that amazing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. And then I think what's lost sometimes on folks is that you do this once, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
You set it up and you don't have to keep picking at it. I know that's tempting, but once it's functional and you know, mostly, 90% there, then there's not much else, not much else to do. If there's any other questions related to this, I don't see any specifically. It is a lot to digest. Again, we're going to put this on our YouTube channel so you can go through it again, assuming the recording works. But James, anything else you want to add before we end the webinar?
Yeah, this is a recap of 2 other webinars and then adding new features on top. I really do want to break these down into smaller bite-sized chunks to say, oh, this is integrating WooCommerce, or this is setting a template. So I know this is a lot. Try not to do it all at once. Maybe watch it once or twice, or maybe watch part of it and then go back and kind of see what I'm doing. My notes will be there. My slides will be available. We're available in the Facebook group. So please ask your questions. I know this is a lot, but this is an overview. This isn't meant for everyone to just get up and go. But I also uploaded this template last night. So if anyone wants to use it or play with it or give a good starting point, all my resources are available in the Facebook group.
Perfect. And then right before we sign off, we have one question. How can I make registration emails trigger faster? This comes from your website. And so we actually have a webinar on emails. So I would just point you to that direction. Just go to the LearnDash YouTube channel, look in the past, look at the webinars playlist, or just look at our past videos. We have one specifically on emails, how to get them to send reliably and on time. So that would be a great resource. But thanks again, James. For everybody else, if you have any ideas for webinars you want to see, post those ideas in the Facebook group, please. You can reply as a comment on this webinar's announcement or just create a new post. If you want James to go into more details on this integration, then please post that as well. That's why we're here doing this webinar. So thank you again, everybody. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.